My next guest is the presenter of such shows as A Place in the Sun. She also, of course, entered the I'm a Celebrity jungle back in 2022. But Scarlett Douglas has been making headlines for a different reason after deciding to freeze her eggs at the age of 37 and sharing her journey online.
I am going to be freezing my eggs. I believe it's going to be up and down, a rocky ride, a roller coaster, but hey, I do love a roller coaster. Yesterday was day 2 of injections, and so back in tomorrow for another set of scans and blood tests. I have to take that trigger injection at 11:30 p.m. tonight on the dot because my eggs are coming out at 11:30 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Still a bit under the sedation, but went well. It's been a whole week since I had my eggs out, and I feel like, I feel like myself again.
Well, Scarlett joins us now. Good morning,
Good
Scarlett.
morning.
This was an incredible thing to do because it was a very personal, challenging decision to make. But amongst all the wonderful things you'd like to achieve in your life, you want to desperately be a mum.
Yeah.
And you were willing to do what it takes to get there.
Absolutely. I never thought I'd be 37 and no man, no husband, no baby. So I figured that, yes, being a career-driven woman is fantastic, but I do want to have a family, so I have to take my future into my own hands and just, you know, prepare myself for having kids at a later date. I would still, of course, love to have a child naturally, but that might not be the case. So this is something I had to do as a backup.
As a backup. Well, you, I'm guessing, did all of the research.
Yes.
But did that prepare you for the reality of the process? Because it is a very medical process. We only touched on a little bit there in that. But lots of injections, lots of consultations, blood tests, everything. Were you prepared for it?
Not at all, if I'm honest. I just thought, this is something I want to do, and I had looked into it, but until you actually get there and you get given all of the medication, that moment for me was so overwhelming because I thought, I'm going to have to be injecting myself every day to, you know, get to a point where my eggs are hopefully enough to take out and freeze and healthy enough. I think it's something we don't really talk about. You know, when you hit 35, your egg count starts to decrease, the quality of the eggs start to decline as well. And the more I was getting into it, the more I was learning about it, the more I was like, why do we not speak about this more? And why isn't this something I had done earlier on in life? But yeah, the injections, the medication, it is scary. Your emotions are all up and down, but you know you're doing it for a good reason, so you kind of keep pushing through.
And it's why you wanted to film the whole process, isn't it? Because you want people to talk about this.
Absolutely. And it is something that I did debate about. Do I want to put my personal life out on my social media?
Very personal, very vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, my family were like, are you sure you want to do this? But for me, it was helping others as well. And especially in the Black community, we don't talk about things enough. And I just wanted younger girls or girls that are my age or even a bit older to really think about taking this responsibility into their own hands if they can and know that there is another option. So I just figured, be brave, put your story out there and hopefully it can help others. And so far it has done.
Well, it has. I was just going to say what the response has been like.
Yeah, I've had a great response. I have had some negative comments, you know, why are you sharing something? But again, it's my story to share. So if you don't want to hear about it, you can follow someone else. But a lot of people have come back and said, thank you so much. This has been so helpful. I'm going to look into it. So many of my friends have since had consultations. So I feel as though I'm helping people kind of just at least get the ball rolling.
Yeah, and it's because it was real. You were doing it in real time. It resonated with a lot of people, I'm sure, who maybe didn't know as much about the process.
Exactly.
Now, you had 19 healthy eggs to freeze. Is that what happened at the end?
So I had 24 eggs out, and of the 24, 19 were healthy enough to freeze. So that was a good amount. I was told I've got a 70% chance of having a first child with those 19, and then a 20% chance of having a second child with the 19, because as much as 19 are healthy, it doesn't mean that all 19 are going to thaw okay. It doesn't mean that then they will be able to be fertilised, inseminated. You know, they have extra eggs just in case it doesn't quite work out. But the more eggs you have, yes, the more chance you have.
So they're there.
Yeah,
waiting
in a freezer somewhere.
And how do you feel now? Has it given you some sort of a relief? How has it changed
Absolutely, yeah, it's taken a weight off. I think sometimes we can make kind of skewed decisions based on my body clock and I want to meet a man so I can have a child, and you don't necessarily have to have a man to have a child now. You know, there are different ways of being able to do it. But for me, it's very much like I don't have to rush into a relationship. I can take my time a little bit more. I can work out who's going to be not just a good partner to me, but who's also going to be a good dad. You know, that's important. I want to have a family where I do have my husband that's going to be a great father. My mum and dad are still together, and it's great to see them as a partnership, and I want that as well.
Yeah, I'm sure they've been all very supportive as well.
Oh, so supportive.
I'm sure maybe at the same time fearful for you, you know, scared,
absolutely.
because you don't know what you're embarking upon and you don't know what the outcome's going to be.
No,
so
exactly.
It's that unknown. It's an awful place to be sometimes when it's a medical issue.
Of course, and as well, you have to consider the more you're injecting yourself, there are certain issues that can go wrong with that, and there's a hyperstimulation ovarian syndrome, and that's a worry, that's a concern, because that can lead to very serious issues. So you just have to make sure you've got the right people around you, do everything that the doctors are telling you, drink a lot of water, have your aspirin. I was going through moments where I had to go into hospital to check up on things because I was feeling different to how I should have been feeling. But yeah, you've just got to make sure you do what the medics tell you to do.
Yeah, well, like we say, you did the research, you've done all of the right things, and hopefully, Scarlett, is all looking good and you're in a good place now, which is wonderful. Joining us now is Dr Amir. Good morning, Amir. It's lovely to see you. This is a positive outcome here, obviously, Amir. If people are considering freezing their eggs, so what is your advice? Because there is an emotional toll to all of this.
There certainly is, and it's so good that Scarlett's being so honest and open about what she's gone through there. It will certainly send a positive message out to people who are considering this. Now, balancing a career with the aspirations of family life has never been easy for women. They often have to deal with structural misogyny in the workplace, and they've got this biological clock that they may be anxious about. And 20s and 30s for lots of women are about building a career, traveling, finding out who they are. But actually, that is the time when they're the most fertile. That is the time when their ovaries are producing most of their healthy eggs. When it comes to egg freezing, it's only really available on the NHS for people who are undergoing treatment which may affect their fertility, things like chemotherapy. For everyone else, it will have to be a private decision. They'll have to pay for it privately, and it can cost anything up to £8,000. Now, age is really important. Scarlett touched on it there as well. If you want to have the best chance going forward with this, you've got to make that decision when you're the most fertile, when they can retrieve the most eggs. So your 20s and early 30s are the best time to do it. And it does have an emotional and physical side effects as well. You've got to give yourself daily injections. They themselves can come with some symptoms. There's a general anaesthetic that you have to have when they go through the egg retrieval process. None of that is straightforward, and there are no guarantees, but for some people this will be a really good way of having a family at a time that suits them, and it is always good to have options.
Absolutely, Amir. Thank you very much, and thank you, Scarlett, for
you.
being so open and honest about something that so personal to you, but you're in a good place, like we say.
Absolutely.
Going forward.
Thank you.
So much, Scarlett. So good to see you. You enjoyed LA, of course.
Oh, I loved LA. Oh my goodness, get me back to that sunshine.
Well, you just look like sunshine right now. It's just rubbed off clearly on you. You're loving
bringing
life.
it back.
Yeah, please.